Good morning. This is Dr. Matthew Dunn, host of The Future of Email Marketing. And my guest, a man I've been hunting down for a few months now, Keith Kouzmanoff, Postmaster General, Senior Email Postmaster, something like that, of Inter7 Technologies. Hey, Keith, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Radio announcer voice. Yes, yes. And you can do your cruise director voice later. I'm sure there's still some muscle memory for that. Fill people in on the elevator version of Inter7 and then the elevator version of your expertise.
I have a face for radio, don't I? Inter7 years ago built this authentication piece in the MTA world to allow virtual users and virtual domains on the same machine. So you could add, at the time of, let's date ourselves, ready? Remember when Intel came out with the MMX processor?
I do. That was the extra math coprocessor days, right?
Yes. 4 gigabyte hard drives were, $500.
Or science fiction. I mean, I remember paying for a 10 meg hyperdrive in my little Fat Mac.
How about this? Your mailbox, your mail gear had a quota size of, are you ready?
Yeah.
50 megs.
50 meg. Huge. See, by 5 minutes in, and we're already on gray hair tech arcana that like most people go, oh, what?
Millennials are gonna be like, really? No, so at the time, to have one machine at virtual domains was it was all over. Most MTAs did it. Send mail.
Yeah.
I was out there. People are looking for other mail platforms. Dan Bernstein, he's a mathematician in University of Chicago. His claim to fame is encryption. He built this MTA called Qmail, and I believe at the time he had a bug bounty, right? $500. You can't bust me. The kind of ironic thing is I don't think he ever beat it out. I think one person possibly, but for you and I to actually use it, like we have to put tires on it. We have to put oil in it. It's got to have a gear shifter and steering wheel, right? So, part of his MTA was, in the real world, real usable functionality. It's kind of, it's kind of unusable, right?
Right.
And this licensing he had, you couldn't put it in distribution, right? So it couldn't come with Red Hat. It couldn't come with Linux distribution because it wasn't in the GPL library. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Or at least I couldn't put my package on it and package it up as, a Yum or apt-get or anything like that.
Right.
Couldn't be in the repo. Just the stock binaries could be the repo, which were kind of unusable for you and I.
Right. No.
So you have a patch. Yeah. So KBO Ken wrote this authentication part for virtual users. So at the 50 meg size builders, if you had a domain you were hosting on a domain hosting place, you couldn't have sales mydomain.com and sales at somebody else's domain.com. I don't know if I ever encountered that, but I can't have sales at? What do you yeah, somebody else got it.
Somebody else got it. A completely different company, but apparently only one salesperson in the universe, right?
So,
wow.
Yeah, a gentleman by the name of Bob, who owned this little company out of his garage called GoDaddy, was the first customer back then for a whopping $50.
Wow.
We installed the mail server for him.
Wow.
Yeah. I think from that, for a long time, people have inundated us with these ideas of grandeur, like they're going to be something. And I would say 99 out of 100, they're just pipe dreams that never accumulate to anything. But every once in a while, these things actually.
Yeah. 10 years to an overnight success. So Qmail is still sort of front and center what you're working with?
Qmail clustering, yep. High volume, load balancing, high availability, mostly for mailbox providers out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yahoo at one time was using it. I'm not sure what they're using right now. Zimbra was using it with Comcast and the Zimbra in the back end. I think a lot of people still use it. There's a reason why you would use it is probably for the high security
Mm-hmm.
value of it. The one thing, there's not a lot of people who know about it or know how to use it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Just for that back to loan,
Yeah.
right?
So you're kind of, you're talking yourself into that category corner of the similar to the COBOL guys, and everyone's looking around going, wait a minute, nobody knows how this works. They're all gone, play golf, doing something else, and my company still depends on it. Oops.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think in the open source world,
Mhm.
right? When I'm looking for a solution, I'm looking at a bunch of things. One, I want to see it's, popular is the product, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's take WordPress, for example. Way popular.
Yeah.
Bunch of add-ons for this.
Milk.
And it's probably, I would argue it's probably the most, or it's the de facto first website that you're putting up there.
Yeah.
But there's a problem with that because it's so popular. What else? It needs to be patched up every day, every week.
Every
There's
cotton pick day. Oh, dang.
that could be a problem, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. So same in the case of mail,
In the email side,
email side. Yeah.
I'd say in the 22 years, there's been very select companies who have looked at the Qmail solution, like the IRS, the feds,
Mhm.
the EFL project, CSC won the bid. I don't know, what was that, back in 2004
Wow.
or whatever. They got over budgeted, of course. The feds took it back and they were looking for a mail server, the highest security mail server to
Right.
throw over the wall. I mean, things that the feds, you literally have to throw it over the wall. And they contacted Dan, JB, and he said, why are you contacting me? I'm suing the federal government for encryption laws that you guys have. Encryption should be free for everyone, right?
Right.
Not just Americans. So, well, who would you decide if we had to go this route? They said, oh, we'd ask. Call up these guys. So thanks, Dan. My head's off to you. Appreciate you for shouting us out.
Yes. What is the status of that encryption battle?
And I'm smart guy, very smart guy. So Bank of America is another company that we did work with.
Wow.
It was for their high-end execs.
Yeah.
It's not the corporate side.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably
Stuff you want to hide from other people's eyes, if you know what I mean. Not to mention there's some people who try to do that, not to mention any names, Hillary Clinton, that tried to do that to hide their mail. But it gets found anyway. Not to mention any name. Hey, listen, Matthew. Okay, do you use Gmail?
I do. Yes.
Okay. There's not less than 3 operating companies that do not belong to Alphabet
Okay.
that read that email.
There you go. They must hate me. It's like, gosh, this guy gets a lot of crap. Like,
If you're trying to keep some communication inside private,
yeah.
wouldn't be using any of these mass
Right.
companies. And for no fault of theirs, right? That
It's their business model.
their business model, right?
Yeah.
Farming is something that we don't want to build.
Yeah. And I mean, like you don't go say, where do they make their money? Advertising. Okay. Check. Right. Like it's not super tough to conclude alignment of motives is like right angles. So go into it with open eyes if you're going to use it. Yeah. Not all of the more than one addresses I use are sitting on that particular platform. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you touched on it. So let's kick it around a little bit. We're definitely entering a different stage in terms of the broad cultural understanding of and attitudes towards privacy, security, control of digital assets, and things like that. Yes.
100%.
Yeah. It's funny it's taken so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, partially it's complexity, right? Partially it's some of the issues that you touched on even in a couple minutes there, very technical, right? Esoteric to even people who work in the field. I mean, I've had email marketers look kind of blankly at me when I say MTA. Why? It's like they don't put their hands on that piece of it, right? It just happens somewhere out there. And you start diving down to a whole bunch more layers, like arguments about encryption, and guy in the streets going, I can't even remember my passwords, man. Can you make it easier? Right? Can you make it easier? Okay, fine by me. Well, you're giving something away if you make it too easy. Yeah, I know, but I don't have time to deal with that. Okay. And we'll trade off convenience. We Americans will trade off convenience for privacy. At least we have for a good 20 plus years.
Right. And so some onus on that is on me asking you for your password. Right. So Matthew, if you're signing up for Google and I'm out of it and I'm asking you to type in your password, right? Well, I'm going to be maybe expiring that password in 90 days. When I expire that password in 90 days, every time I ask you for a new password, Matthew, I'm going to take away one letter and one number that you cannot use. Okay. And I'm going to force you eventually to pick a new password.
Right.
I'm not going to let you pick your old one again.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take away certain letters and numbers that you have to basically change that password that you thought you would use for the rest of your life. Password 1, 2, 3. All of a sudden, I'm going to take away the number 3.
Yeah. And or offer the one you can't remember so that you'll jot it down on a sticky note so it's even less secure.
Yes, but
Things like that.
I think in the InfoSec community, trying to tell the end user, right, how to be more productive online. I think the onus too in the InfoSec community is for the companies and corporations to disable the ability for that reusing of passwords.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, it goes to alignment of motives. If in the long run, the thing that I'm paying you to do, whether I'm paying you with money or attention, leave that aside, the thing I'm paying you to do, if that's easily breached, eventually I'm more likely to cancel. So to some extent, help me do this in a smart way, because you've got people whose full-time job is security. Makes sense, right? Will I stick around if my email doesn't get breached there? Yeah. Would I dump it? To your point about WordPress, right? I mean, WordPress, arguably, because it's so popular, because of its architecture, because PHP blows, is like you're just begging to get your website hammered if you use WordPress. And eventually, like, I opted out of it for the company sites that we have to run because the maintenance was such a pain in the ass. Like, nah, no thanks, right? Can't deal with it anymore. I just don't have time for that crap.
Yeah, it lost its appeal of being free. Right now, I was paying a company now to host this free stuff because it is just unreliably insecure.
Yeah, free as in beer, free as in, fill in the blanks, right?
Mixed signal, right? Yes, no, yes, maybe, no, yes, no.
Yeah, or know what you're picking and why you're picking it. My older son is teeing up a business. He's a musician and music teacher, and he's teeing up a business. So, Dad, what should I build my website on? I said, on balance, WordPress is probably a good choice at this stage of the game because that big ecosystem of plugins and extensions, which you mentioned, stuff that you won't be able to build that you can go boom, install and run. However, caveat, you're going to be learning WordPress really thoroughly if you go down that road. Why? Because the sucker doesn't just keep running, right? Patch this, upgrade that. What do you mean I can't get to that table? Yada, yada, yada. I think it'll be a valuable lesson on the side along with the website as an outcome, right?
For sure. But it had to see too, as Apple has moved the gauntlet, right, for prefetching data coming.
Yes. Yes. What do you think about that?
I say let's put another pair of glasses on this.
Mhm.
And I say this has been my argument since day one, since Apple announced it. I said, why are you bugging out about Apple protecting its users when you, as an email marketer, you should already be doing that for all of your people on your list. In fact, why don't you do it now in advance of it? So when Microsoft does it or another company does it, you're already prepared. You're already blind. You're going to put the blinders on. Use something like, instead of use something like a CDN, right? A CDN that will mask where people are coming from. So even though you are reporting open interaction, whether they prefetch or not, you're protecting the end user's IP address or end user's user agent. Let's stop doing it, right? You can do that as an email marketer. You can already do that right now.
Right. Right. No, that's a good point. And actually I agree with you quite strongly. I think there's a lot of somewhat self-serving rhetoric about Apple's shift of how they're handling, in this case, image opens and the data returned from those. Like, oh, we won't be able to know X, and we were such good actors before. Really? Were all of you actually protecting that, as you said, and really using it? Or was it just kind of a convenient crutch that happened to get built in as a historical accident to the predominant standards in email? So you had kind of an easy, free, cheap measure with the open signal and HTTP that you told you something of kind of indicator value. Now you're like, it's not as good an indicator. Like, okay. And, and what are you going to do? Right. Yeah. It does put pressure on a measure that I'm not sure is really any better as a substitute. We'll all focus on clicks now. About 1 out of 100 instead of 100. So that's a problem. And I don't think clicks are going to keep being open my browser and send 27 JavaScripts off into the world forever. I think we're going to start to look at that because it's such a stupid hole right now.
Yeah, and the other side is, why are we even focusing on the entry point where the breadcrumbs start? I think we've been hyper focusing.
Yeah.
But I say, let's focus on the backwards forward. Let's start at the conversions, then work our way forward from it.
Right.
Of course, they are good key indicators, key performance indicators. I don't think you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Mhm.
For some of the metrics that are coming in,
Mhm.
but take them for the grain of salt. The goal isn't open rate. The goal is conversion.
Right.
Whether it be branding, visible eyes on, or actually a purchase or a submit or some other form of action, right? And then breadcrumb it forward from there.
That's true for a lot of businesses, but for others, the content of the email itself may actually be the thing of value, the exchange, etc.
Give me an example.
I pay X bucks a month and I sit down and read Ben Thompson's Stratechery every morning when he sends it. First thing I do is like, yay, new Stratechery from Ben. What do I get out of that email? It's what I read in the email. It's not a click. It's not in anything else.
Well, he's already converted you.
Absolutely. But
So
right.
Okay. I guess so. You're using email where I think you could argue where email came from originally And it's from group communication. Dig, Reddit now, news groups that were out there, MLMs, which are bandwidth managers, right?
Yeah.
That's really where email came. Individual email came, actually, before that, came from group. And from the group, we communicated within the group, right? And then someone got the bright idea of, what would be great is this direct, this one-on-one communication part from that to what the way you're using it is actually information gap. So I argue that one isn't a good indication of the metrics of email.
Substack would probably be on my side here, and they're not tiny.
Okay. Again, what is the conversion point on that?
Right. You say your gist of your argument is I'm already converted, I'm already bought in, but that narrows down what you do with email and the measures and metrics we're batting around to a marketing function only, as opposed to a delivery function. And I'm saying the delivery function also has value for some categories of businesses. We tend to talk in terms of marketing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Matthew, as the subscriber,
Yeah.
a lot of people go, hey, the postmaster AOL or the postmaster Hotmail is causing me problems because actually you have more power, arguably, in your mailbox to determine what comes in and what doesn't come.
For sure. Yes. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I mean, one of the things that vexes me about email is kind of fascinating. SMT internet email, which is what we're talking about when we say email now. Decent person-to-person, point-to-point communication mechanism. Okay, small group. Geometrically shittier as the size of the group goes up. Reverse chronology threads. If there's a worse way to arrange text than that, I'm not sure anyone's ever come up with. It's like just horrendous group communication tool. And like Slack, right? You jump in late and go, I'm never going to make sense of this. This is just crap. Right?
Well, but there's a discipline in that too, though.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm a Slack admin and I invite you into my Slack group,
yeah,
I expect you to use things like the threading script.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you start a new conversation on the same subject, another thread is coming in.
Yeah.
You yourself are interacting. And other mail servers are a way we're communicating right then too.
Yeah.
From threaded notes and as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's the way it's called digest, actually. I mean,
right.
It's how we're digesting that information.
Yeah. Yeah. No, gotcha. I noticed on the Email Geek Slack channel, which you're probably on, someone chimed in, I think in the general channel, with something this morning, and the admin just went bink on the wrist and said, please use threaded replies. Like, okay, cool. Someone's paying attention. But there's last time I checked, finding a group admin to manage email threads, pretty rare, right? Pretty rare. So you end up with these gnarly multi-forward signature 62 times messes that you got to hang on to, because there's a gold nugget in there somewhere, or there's an archive you're gonna need in a legal case later, or some stuff like that. Yeah. And as messy as it is, it's still this weird digital Swiss Army knife that we use for marketing and Substack deliveries and one-to-one communication and notes from your mother and all that other stuff. And it just keeps chugging along and finding ways to reinvent itself and stay viable, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, what's the other choice?
You're absolutely right. What is the other choice? Yeah.
I got to get my bank statement on WhatsApp.
Which you would in China.
Could you?
Oh, no, that's your only option.
That's your only option, right?
Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Because it's become centralized, right? I would argue the death of email can come if it becomes centralized.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. I mean, I ran the thought experiment once, probably over a beer with somebody, like, what if the USPTO had gotten involved in some useful way in email early on? Like, we'll provide certification that this is the guy from, from campaignGenius.io when you get the email or something like that. It's like, there would have been some utility to it, but it would have been a freaking disaster in the channel trying to do that evolution thing, because they're not going to move fast enough ever.
Yeah. And it's sometimes it's like how many instant messaging apps are out there right now? I mean,
Right.
I saw you interview Matthew and he talked about 6 or 7 different ones that he's put. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, whatever happened to AIM? AOL Instant Messaging,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And Amen. And what was the other
IRC as well. I mean, it was
ICQ? Remember that one?
you, yeah, yeah, for sure, right? I mean, those are your only choices. Right?
They were. Yeah, they were. And then poof, this explosion. And as I always say, it's messaging platforms, but it's a plural. And when you say email, it's singular, relatively speaking, set of standards.
Yeah.
And there's really, you're hard pressed to name another digital channel except the web, which is not a back and forth.
But it actually operates on the similar platform.
Yeah.
Because we're following RFCs. The web follows RFCs.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we actually told ourselves that we're going to follow these RFCs, or at least these are the suggested RFCs. I don't know any email server out there that follows them to 100%. There's absolutely not.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But these are our guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are what should happen in the. And when we come up with problems, we write them and implement them as a community.
Yeah.
And not one person hoards anything on it. I'll give you an example in email specifically, right? So domain keys and DKIM, right? Well, domain keys now own the patent for domain keys. And of course they gave them in a way free technology wise, but they've always held that up, right? So what did the community do? They migrated over to only signing with domain keys. I mean, DKIM now, right? Microsoft came up with a sender ID. It's sort of like the SPF record, the sender ID platform text record that they wanted to enforce. And they pushed an RFC for that, and the community just didn't adopt it. They were like, well, what does that have to do with the price of corn in Egypt? Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're only going to accept what the community also accepts in there as well. And you have to play fair on the fair rules of, hey, the way this works right now has to be an open community, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you bring in some proprietary platform that I'm supposed to follow, you kind of break that trust relationship in.
And it probably won't become an RFC. It won't get, validated.
It could become an RFC, but everybody could just ignore it.
Everybody could just ignore it. I mean, I've been trying to start gathering pieces. I'm doing a talk in a couple of months that's way too ambitious. But I've been trying to start gathering some pieces about something that struck me, which is as a developer, I look at how JavaScript has evolved, and it's like every year there's some substantially new stuff there. And I look at email and go, every decade there's diddly squat new.
Consistency, right? Nothing. It hasn't changed much.
Kind of bothersome. Why are we using RFCs from the 90s?
Right?
Why?
Aren't all these people dead?
Seriously.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
When the news about MPP first broke, we were, I'm surrounded by Apple devices, right? So fire up the developer, this, that, and the other, get the beta installed on the iPhone that's sitting there gathering dust. And I end up trolling through the IMAP RFCs, which are from the 90s. Like, yep, that actually matters in the way Apple is. Which call are they making to read the message body without flipping the flag to say, like, I'm looking at RFCs from the 90s that are entirely material in this big change in the email space. Like, what's the last RFC that actually stuck? And I'm sorry, bless Matthew and his compadres, but Bimmy has got boodly squat for traction, 15% if that. It's a great idea, but
Well, when you're going to force me to pay $1,000 for a little logo, it doesn't, for you and I, it
yeah,
doesn't become feasible.
why would I bother? Yeah.
Why
And
would I bother?
why would I bother? Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if I change my username, Google puts up a little, K, whatever, KK, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. What do I do my logo for? What is it worth $1,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
it's a really modest planetary network involved to what? Put a logo the size of a postage stamp next to your name. Like, oh, come on. Doesn't seem that ambitious, does it?
well, I think if the mailbox providers had their fingers in parts of that money that was coming,
Yeah,
maybe that would
maybe.
influence your delivery. I don't.
Yeah.
Again, we have to go back to who's in control of the mailbox itself.
Yeah.
You and me.
Yeah.
We're in charge. And what happens online, it's all about trust, right? Where's that trust value? And it's the unwritten world too out there, the mailbox providers and postmasters, they have circles of influence as well,
Mhm.
right? And they're looking at trust always. In that community, when someone goes black hat and they want to do good, they're gonna burning bush, come with evolutionary, the revolutionary idea that, hey, maybe doing all this bad stuff isn't good to the world, and they want to do good. The InfoSec calls that a gray act.
Right.
You can never go to white. Once you leave the white hemisphere, you're never coming back to white. The best you can do is come back to gray.
Right.
So the Bimmy logo is what is the sole purpose of that?
I would argue it's commercial brand impression.
Commercial brand. Right.
Like this from a business motive.
Yeah.
Why would any plug? You're going to plug down the $1,000 because you think your email is going to be one zillionth of a cent stickier, percent stickier, or something like that. Brand impression, things like that. And I know it matters. And I'm not totally dissing Bimmy, but I am calling out email for being quite static in terms of technology evolution. Contrast JavaScript, substantial changes and advances as a language that get taken up quite broadly, quite quickly, almost year on year, even now. It's like, wow, that's really something. Probably because there's dollars attached to it.
I don't know that relationship between where you're going. I'm trying to follow.
How many? Well, it's this. It's this. How many browser tabs do you tend to open in the course of a day? Yeah.
Full 3, 4.
Okay, so 300-400 for me, give or take.
Yeah.
I'm running most of the apps that run my business
Through a
inside
browser?
through a browser. Yeah, through
So the browser itself is the app that you're running from.
right, but the functional logic is the JavaScript thing running inside that tab.
Sure.
So the reason that language keeps evolving like this is because there's a constant. If we could make this go faster, do more, do different, we could bring these functions. Oh yeah, we all agree that'd be better. So that language it's gone from a toy to the mainstream, probably one of the most widely used in the world. Like it's evolved really quickly, has continued to evolve really quickly, including RFCs, right? Open standards. If you say, I'm going to make a new browser. I tested one the other day, some completely different browser platforms like
Mosaic.
No. I've got Mosaic.
Netscape Navigator.
Yeah, I've got those running all the time. No, starts with an A. My son told me.
Let your users know what you're using.
Yeah, what is it? Allegro? No, I'll come up with a name in a minute here, but full ES6, full JavaScript implementation, like the apps I run didn't break in that browser. So you've got that RFC-based, community-based standard that keeps evolving quickly. You've got email that hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot in a long time.
Well,
Why?
when you're talking about like the cloud and decentralization of computers and the apps that you're using right now, the only reason you're able to use those apps right now is because of your bandwidth and the computing power of your PC or
Sure.
laptop, right? Okay. What kind of bandwidth do you have? Like a gig?
Yeah, 1.2 gigs, I think.
Yeah. Well, guess what? 90% of the America doesn't have that bandwidth.
Sure. Sure.
The middle of a cornfield still on dial-up.
Yeah, but you look at the fastest growing sectors of
Yeah,
business functions, and they're all browser and cloud-based.
right. I think we may get there. I think.
Yeah.
But I think when we get probably maybe 10 gig bandwidth ones and 50%, then we'll have that accessibility. And I think that's where your browser apps and decentralization or centralization of apps will become more prevalent in there. I mean, I see the future probably going back to the old mainframe. Cloud computing.
Yeah.
People, I hate this common word stuff that comes out all the time. If you want, listen, next time you're at a trade show, you ready? This is hilarious. Okay. Go grab yourself a beer or a coffee. Okay. And just go to the closest person next to you and ask them what the difference between a hard and a soft bounce email is, and find out how many different explanations that you'll come up with by the end of the afternoon, right? Because the way that people are describing stuff is just they're using I guess more common word marketing terms into this than was there. But back when we didn't have centralization or the PC was not existent, right? We were all using what token ring, right? Before Ethernet.
Token ringing, and I mean, go back 60s, like first actual email systems were on timeshare platforms, like one computer pretending to be multiple computers via green screen.
Right. Yes. So I mean, I don't know what where that's going with email, other than I argue that email is not probably going anywhere just because of the fact that you just said the RFCs are 90 years old. Nobody is going to embrace anything that doesn't change the metrics into the community or standardization. And the only way world would probably collapse on itself is if Google like Alphabet, which already own 70% of the emails and email list, right?
Yeah.
And anybody's email is, if that gets any larger, go outside. I think that's kind of a small break.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
That's awesome.
Sorry about that.
Mine's so old that she doesn't even bark anymore. Yeah. So you're saying if Alphabet Group Gmail owns any more inboxes, you might see them actually starting to sort of push standardization or push new standards. I have to say, on that math, I've been surprised, and narrowly speaking, pleasantly surprised, that AMP has gone nowhere. AMP for email.
Don't tell them that.
Seriously, Spark post the other day, 0.4% of our customers are sending out AMP-enabled emails. Okay, I guess you'd call that not. It's like, so despite that sort of quasi, not monopoly, but duopoly position on the inbox, Google, with not the hugest effort I've ever seen out of Google said, boom, new, better, more interactive aspect to email, and they really have not gotten market traction. They really haven't.
I I don't know. Google doesn't like use us because we're the best. They don't really market their stuff to be. I don't know, better than the competition or the latest greatest thing to use. I mean, why Google Plus, the Google Voice, Google Messaging, Google Calendar? I mean, all those things are like, yeah, if you can do it, we can do it too. But we really don't care, that you use it or not, right? And they're literally taking a pulse on us, on you. They're saying, well, is Matthew using it? No. Is Keith using it? No. End of life. Right? Let's try something else that's out there.
Hmm.
And the problem with, I think with the app is it's a little bloaty, I would say. Again, email in itself, Matthew, where a lot of people don't take into consideration is the message size that people are sending out, or the third party people that they're connecting with, or where this traffic is going, or is images that get called down. And I would say Walmart is probably one. If you've ever subscribed to their emails, their message size is a quarter or a half a meg without the images.
Wow. Why?
I have no idea why.
Wow, that's sloppy. Yeah. Like,
If you're delivering a million messages out, or 150 million out to your subscriber base a day,
yeah.
right? The ecosystem doesn't really, that's not really friendly.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to guess super big, fat image intensive and really, really, really blocky looking too. But I mean, that fits the brand, but on a guess, I'm going to guess it's what their messages look like. Interesting. By contrast, long-term Amazon user, I get a ton of Amazon email, and I know they do all of that MTA on up in-house because they're so big they can and should. They're pretty good. They're pretty good at email. Got to say.
They're mail servers?
No, just like the aesthetics, the things they use email for, how they evolve that. Case in point, used to be order fill in the blanks on Amazon, you'd get an email with your order for fill in the blanks is on the way and it's going to ship. Now you get the order you placed, order number X is on the way and it'll be shipped, but it doesn't say what it is because they realized not all of their users wanted their inbox to say, you just ordered a blow up what? Like, so they dropped the product picture and product name out of their email, out of their confirmation email.
Oh, gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Paying attention, evolving. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So they're in their design sense in their emails, very Amazon, but it's good, like lean. You can see what matters and focus on what matters, like process it quickly and stuff like that. Like they make an effective use of that channel. And I don't see any incentive for Amazon to monkey with email standards. It does the job they need it to do just fine, which is probably a fair description of email writ large, right? Does the jobs you need it to do just fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get me there. We put a man in the moon, right?
Yeah.
Well, arguably.
Yeah.
The capsule landed in the water, didn't land anywhere. They opened it up. They came out. They were alive, right? Just send the email. Just get me there, okay? You can do it. Just get me.
Yeah, just get me there. Just get me there. So when people get lit up about the notion of interactive email, AMP's non-success aside, I think, I don't think we'll get there. I really don't think we'll get there.
It had a lot of promise. I liked a lot of it when I saw it. It looked very, promising.
Right.
But the adaptability of it too, just didn't get embraced. And maybe will be that way too. I'm not sure what that train looks like right now. It will, maybe as a consumer, right? I'm looking at the Bimmy logos. Now I'm training myself. When I see a company spend $1,000, I know it's a marketing company and just hit delete. Maybe the bidding may be a curse to actually have.
Yeah.
Because I really want to see an email from Matthew and my mom and my kids, right?
Yeah.
I want to see when I see the logo up. Oh,
Do we actually really want marketing emails, or is this just email marketers telling themselves we really want them?
and for most mailbox providers, you can pay for that. You can pay for that spot up there, and what now?
Yeah.
You can actually, you don't even have to send an email.
Yeah.
Just call pay and well, just pay for it.
Yeah,
Gladly put your ad right there in front.
Just pay for it. Well, it sounds like you and I are somewhat on the same page in terms of the durability of the channel and the likely not dramatic evolution of the channel. Is that fair?
It's pretty fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to keep little digital engine that could keep chugging along, but it's not going to turn into DeLorean or anything like that, right? Just going to work the way it works for a long time.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not the best, form of communication by far, right? There's much more efficient ways. There's cheaper ways. There's easier ways. I mean, there's things attached
Yeah.
to your home now more than back. More people have computers in their phones than they have laptops now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. By a huge margin. Yeah.
By a huge part, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even the ecosystem of physical devices that's changed, email just trudged along.
It has. And I think there's an element of commons or common carrier to email. And this is back to the topic you brought up earlier about RFCs and community-based and open standards. Like there's an element of everyone can use that channel, because that's not true of messaging,
Right.
messaging platforms, plural. It's not true. There's no monopolist parked at the front end of email. There's somewhat a monopolist parked at the back end of email, but you don't actually have to ask their permission. I don't have to ask Google Mother May I to send my friend with the Gmail address an email, or to send my customer with a Gmail address an email. Like Google Alphabet hasn't actually put up any direct pay us first. I would argue that the what's it called? Promotions tab, there's a cost and a drag factor for marketers from that mechanism. You end up paying deliverability guys to try to get out of that tab, right? But it's not a direct gatekeeper function.
No. And if you're getting in the promotion tab and you're not using annotations, shame on you.
Shame on you. Brian Sisolak would agree with you. Yes, shame on you.
And second thing, be glad you're in the promotional tab, because there are far worse places to put you.
Fair point. Yeah, that's true.
Let's break down the email, the whole email thing, right? We should have done this at the very. I'm gonna steer the ship. Ready?
Okay, go.
Look, people don't need people like you and I. They don't need us. They don't need any email delivery personnel thing, right? Because 95 of your 99 problems in email delivery is your data. It's clearly your data. Look, I had a friend move to where did he move to? Let's track e-commerce for Magento.
Yeah.
And I said to him, hey, look, you came from a large ESP, just moved over there. I'm excited to hear how you like it. They just opened up a new office. They're growing very well. They're full of the e-commerce side. It's one of these one-off sales stuff for emails coming around. He's like, oh my God, it's night and day. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like 80% open rate, 90% open rate. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, it's amazing. When people actually spend their hard-earned money on product, they actually want to see a tracking number come back from your company. I'm like, oh, really? They actually want to see another email. They like our brand because they've actually bought money from us. And I asked them the challenging questions. I was like, so what are you here? Since you're the deliverability consultant there, Ecom, Clavio, List Track company, what are the phone calls you're getting today? Oh, well, I get calls from the e-com customer, well, wondering why that 300 emails that he sent out, one of them bounced. And the person at Hotmail said the mailbox was full, right? And he needs to send an email to the mailbox's full function. And if he could talk to the postmaster at Hotmail to figure out how we can get just a little bit more storage in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the surprising thing is when you email people who want your email, you get a much better approach. You're going to, by far, you're going to be, you will not have people emailing you, get off my list, stop
Right.
emailing me,
Right.
stop complaining about my unsubscribes not working, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You get a much better response. I think you'll make more money sending 300 emails into the inbox than you will 3 billion into the junk folder. Okay. Like get a dog, name it Clue. You'll have one soon enough. And if you're in the B2B world, Lance, where's most of your business coming from?
In the B2B world?
It's a B2B. I'm in the B2B world, right?
Not from email. I mean,
Not,
in the
not from Facebook, from Instagram, from TikTok.
LinkedIn.
I'm going to argue somewhere else. You ready?
Hmm.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's a rules.
So if you're in the B2B world, stop worrying about your email program.
Yeah.
Go get everyone you know, call your mom, call your dad, call your grandma, tell them you're in this world, get your salespeople to call up, get your accounting people to call up, get the receiving guy to call up, go to the golf course and start talking about what you're doing. You're gonna spend far more better resources into where the sales are coming from.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. And as we start reemerging from the couple years of enforced cocoon, and we can go to conferences and things like that, and meet people and talk to customers and so on, that'll probably only accelerate.
Yeah, I don't want a customer that I picked up from an email.
Right.
I want anyone remotely close to that.
Right.
Oh wait, no. Sorry. You should be knocking on my door. I don't want to knock on your door at all. In fact, I hope you never knock on my door.
So
You know,
it's who's the Austrian business theorist invented the term management. Can't believe I'm blanking on his name. I've got like 4 of his books just on the other side of that wall. The purpose of marketing is to make your product so good that your customers want it. Words to that effect.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, where for your business? So you talked about business to business. Where do you see yourself taking Inter7 over the next couple of years?
I'm doing a lot of consulting right now.
Mhm.
Right, tip of the knife, edge of the sword.
Mhm.
I'm trying to explore a lot of different projects. I've worked on so many different ones out there. I just find interest on new ideas, the GoDaddies, also the other 99 other pipe dreams that are out there. What can be done, right? And I just love exploring new projects and new ideas that people have. It's just for me. I love seeing. I'm like a problem solver. I love puzzles. I love to play chess, and I love to lose. I like to lose a lot because that means I learn.
Well put. Well put. Yeah. Yeah. You are an avid chess player?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I've got a friend he's a national master. He runs a very successful series of chess academies. And I always have this sensation that he's about 5 sentences ahead of me in our conversations. Like he knew we were going to get there. I'm like, Elliot, God dang it. Stop playing chess with everybody. It's the way he thinks after that much chess, I guess. Well, that's cool. And a consultant that learns is the best kind.
Yeah. I like to, and to be honest with you, maybe I put myself out there where if the opportunity was right,
Yeah.
I've actually put myself out there and said, you know what, look, I'm making enough money right now. To be honest with you, I don't need to take this on, but the project that you're working on right now looks so interesting
Right.
that
Right. Yeah.
I think I can get it. At the other side of that is, guess what? If I don't charge anything, they can't hit me up for a deadline either. So,
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah, because you do have to deal with the pain factor of clients, and the larger they are, and the more people are involved, the more of a pain they turn into, right?
well, correct. A lot of them are battleships. They're aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
And what they really need are jet skis that go out, right? Test the water.
What's the
Then
pup's
they
name?
need yeah, what's that?
What's the pup's name? The dog.
Leah. Woof. Leah's been the most verbal for us. Leah can jump. She can do tricks. Ready? Yeah.
I
Who loves?
was going to say somebody loves you. That's great. That's all.
Have any animals, man?
I do. Well, we're down to one after a menagerie, and my dog is almost 16 and hanging in there, which is something. Like, so she's at I'm going to sleep. See you later. I'm going to sleep. Might take me a while to get up off the floor, but I'm cool. Thanks very much. So hanging in there. Yeah, we'll miss her. We'll miss her when that changes, but it was a good run. Yeah. We had a whole menagerie when the kids were younger. It was great.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. You had a cat too, right?
3 cats.
3. Hey, there you
Cats, 1 dog, 4 kids, 6 ex-wives.
Speaking of menageries.
No.
Well, I'll hit end on record because this was a fun conversation. And if someone wants to get in the technical guts of email, they should listen to this conversation. That's what I say. So if someone wants to get in touch with Keith Kouzmanoff, where do they go to find you? Just email?
They can email, they can hit me up on Twitter.
Yep.
You like LinkedIn, don't you?
If I could be said to like any social network, LinkedIn is about the only one that qualifies. Most of them just bug me to death, and I ignore
What
it.
do you think LinkedIn has above everybody else?
If you get too yappy there, people will still actually delist you or find a way to ignore you. And the hand of the administrator doesn't feel as heavy on LinkedIn. I mean, it probably is, but I do seem to see and hear from the people that I'm connected with most of the time, and not who the heck is this and why is it on the screen in front of me? Because LinkedIn's manipulating like the flow that heavy-handedly. So it still manages to be business-like, which I think is its purpose. So for that reason, I like it for business.
Well, on the email side, we didn't like LinkedIn so much.
Yeah, because
LinkedIn stole took your address book.
right. Remember that? Yeah.
And started contacting everyone in your address book that you had joined LinkedIn. Not so friendly way of getting people to subscribe. So they spammed a bunch of unsuspecting people in there.
Yeah.
What happened, Matthew? It's like we became tolerant of it, or is it because we used it enough that we were okay with it spamming our address book for us? But we didn't want to hit the send button ourselves. Oh, God forbid. Oh, God. But you do it.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're doing it for me. Hey, bada bing, bada boom. Hey, no blood, no fire. Right?
My LinkedIn ID is they do the sequential interviews, and my LinkedIn ID is like 280,000. Like, I've been on there a long time.
What's the bell notification do?
The what?
The bell notification.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that in your comment. I think if I have the thing up and live when you do the bell, I actually do get an audible. I think that's what it does. I've not used it.
No. The bell notification is, so if I look in your profile, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see stuff from you,
Oh,
tag your post. I
Okay.
put that bell to get notified.
To get that makes sense. That makes sense. It sounds annoying. I have not turned a bell on for anybody. Well, I mean, you got to fight to keep your attention window to actually do things yourself. It's a tough battle now between the inbox and LinkedIn and Twitter and so on. It's like, man, so it's no wonder a lot of people don't get a whole lot done in the course of the day.
Is that where you find yourself? Just
Oh, I block it. It's like, nah, it's morning. Most of that crap is turned off because I got stuff to get done.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You've been disciplined enough to take it away.
LinkedIn, Facebook, those are all voluntary, right? You don't actually have to have them open, right? Even your inbox, you don't actually have to have it running all the time, right?
You listen to this, Matthew. If I owned a company, I would force my employees to use a Linux distribution desktop. It would take them a week or two to learn it, right? But I guarantee you they'd be more productive
Because,
out of the Windows and Microsoft environment of all the social noise that you see in there.
okay.
Absolute
Okay.
100%. The browser still works the same as the browser in yours, but you have so many apps, noise for you. Your browser itself has what, hundreds of tabs open.
Yeah.
Not to mention any apps that you have making noise for you as well.
Right.
In fact, since I put you on the Linux distribution, that browser you now use, you can't use half the apps anymore because it's not supported.
That's an interesting choice. I'd say something slightly different. Asking the people in your company to turn the monitor off for half an hour a day would be a damned interesting experiment.
To turn the monitor off?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do I do? Think.
Now, I've heard this urban legend. See if you can find out if this is true or not, Matt.
Where's that?
I think a lighting company had an experiment on, and they wanted to run some stuff in their warehouse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard this before?
Yeah. They turned the lights up, productivity went up. They turned the lights down, productivity went out.
Yeah, yeah.
It was the fact of change, not the change itself.
No, it was the cameras.
Interesting.
Brought cameras in. They were giving breaks, higher breaks, lower breaks.
Yeah.
Productivity is up. After the whole year, they said, we had no idea productivity is just up. They took the cameras out, productivity went down.
Huh.
Never heard that one.
Yeah. If your definition of productivity is positively affected by surveillance, we have a different definition.
I said you could use this for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's true,
Yeah.
you could live stream yourself working
Oh yeah. Okay.
all the time.
Yeah. 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 We're remote, like we're distributed in virtual company. So should we ever leave the camera up all the time? I said, no freaking way. Like,
Just put it above our heads.
yeah, exactly. You know, what are his fingers do? It's like, cause that's a conundrum. That is a,
How about for 10 minutes every hour, just to, or how about for 30 seconds, a predictability time. Yeah,
Right,
just
right.
take one snapshot and then
yeah. I don't know that it would make me more productive, but the thesis you've got from the factories, it might. Huh?
I also believe, listen to this, ready? That the Russians or the Americans wanted to write upside down in space, and the Americans saw. I know that's a myth, but I still believe it's true.
But the $1 zillion spent on
Yeah.
percent. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Russians just used a pencil.
Yeah. I know it's an urban legend, but I still think it's true.
It's not a good, decent urban legend. Yeah. We're done handing out compliments to Russia for a while in this particular moment in history.
Oh,
But yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Messy. Well, let's wrap it up, my friend. That was really wonderful to talk with you. My guest, for those of you listening, has been Keith Kouzmanoff at Inter7.com. Thank you, Keith.
And you.